Okay, we are good to go.
All right, good afternoon. This is a meeting of the Board of Ethics of Baltimore City for Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. It is 2:32 and we'll call the meeting to order. We will let you know that per the Open Meetings Act, the board discloses that it adjourned its virtual open meeting on January 12th, 2022 to enter into administrative session at 2:48 p.m. All board members were present. Members discussed administrative matters, including complaints. By that matter, the board may need to close some or all of this meeting to preserve the confidentiality mandated by the Ethics Code or is otherwise authorized by the State Open Meetings Act. Likewise, upon adjournment of the open session, the board may reconvene for an administrative session to discuss non-public administrative functions of the board. Thank you. Jeff, do we want to do this out of order a little bit for Ms. Green's sake?
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
All right, so if there's no objection, we'll jump into 6A1, new business, before we go through our regular agenda. And that is a solicitation request, waiver request from Rec and Parks to conduct AFRAM for another year. So, Nicole, do you want to take it away?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
We're just requesting to be able to solicit funds to help support the AFRAM Festival. Starting next year, it will be a 3-day festival. And of course, with the cost of inflation, things are a little bit more expensive. So we want to be able to raise funds to help support them.
All right, and you've been conducting this festival for years, right?
Yes, AFRAM has been going on for a long time. I'm new to Rec and Parks, so this will be my second AFRAM, but I know that Rec and Parks has done it since at least 2018.
Right, and you, the understanding is, as usual, the funds will go into the Baltimore Civic Fund?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody, and Jeff, all reports for past years for this request have been complete?
Yes, I think the most recent report, we are satisfied with the final submissions because the agency sponsoring AFRAM has been in transition and some of the leadership there. We went straight to the Civic Fund to get sort of some final assurances about the final reporting, but the final report is from the last solicitation campaign is in order.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Green?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Arnold Sampson, Ms. Green. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Sampson. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My impression is that AFRAM is a profitable activity that the city sponsors and engages in. Is that about right?
Not really profitable. It's a free event to citizens. A lot of the money that we spend on AFRAM is for the talent that we bring out. And the money that we bring in, like from our vendors, actually goes back into the Civic Fund to help cover the cost of the event. The city gives us money to pay for some of the event, and we want to make sure that we can kind of sustain ourselves without draining the city's budget. Also, the vendors that come, they make their money, but it's not really a profitable event for us.
Oh, okay. I mean, I thought that vendor revenues, a contribution from vendor revenues made it profitable, but I guess that was just something I imagined rather than reality.
Yeah, it goes back to help us pay for things. We have to pay for like production. We have to pay for tents and and then things like that. So it helps cover the cost. It's really not a profit. It kind of is a break even.
Okay, let's see. When I thought that probably because it was reference to money from AFRAM going into the Civic Fund. Is that what it was called?
Yes, it goes into the Baltimore Civic Fund. And one of the reasons that we do it is because there has to be such a quick turnaround for us to get the talent. Usually when we secure talent, there has to be a 48-hour turnaround for us to give them their money, or we could lose them. So it just makes it a little easier for us to take care of the things that we need to pay for.
So the Civic Fund doesn't have money earmarked to use for like this year's AFRAM, for example?
There was some money that was left over that we're using for this year's AFRAM, and then there's money that's being contributed from the city.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Green. I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
clarify. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
So this is Donna. We have approved this in the past, and the account management by the civic fund is acceptable. So I make a motion that we approve it.
Second. Okay, all in favor of approving the solicitation waiver request by Rec and Parks for AFRAM, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
unanimous. Thank you very much for being here. And we'll make sure that you get some kind of formal correspondence.
All right. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and move back to the regular agenda, public agenda, and we'll discuss and approve the written minutes of January 12th meeting. The public minutes, had a chance to review them. Everything looks great. As always, Mara and Jeff throw a lot of data at us. And so we have to trust that those numbers are right a month later. Everything else looks great. Is there any discussion on the public minutes of January 12th?
No.
All right. I move that we approve the public minutes of January 12th, 2022. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of the approval of those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. And we will move on to Jeff's update, Jeff and Mara's update.
You're on mute, Jeff.
I haven't done that in a long time. Sorry about that. We'll go through some of the metrics here just to give a public update on some of the board's work. As far as the ethics training goes, I think we updated last time. We had 106 people who completed the course in December. 29 had enrolled for January. We still haven't confirmed yet the number who actually finished the course, but we're waiting for DHR to confirm that. February and March signups slowed down a little bit. I think it's because our initial push to agencies has sort of borne the fruit that it will, and now we have to decide like how to kind of follow up directly with some individuals. So that's kind of next on our calendar. When it comes to help desk and informal guidance matters, we had 109 requests in January. 33 of those were substantive ethics inquiries. So we've gotten that number kind of back up. It was slower in December, probably because of the holidays and what have you, but we've stayed busy with those. 28 help desk requests were from lobbyists. I think that's because their final reports were due at the end of January. Mara will fill you in on those numbers in just a second. And then we've received 29 on financial disclosure statements. Again, I'll let Mara fill you in on some of that because that's financial disclosure season is open now. So far in February, we have resolved 52 help desk requests. That puts us in fiscal year 22, a total of 627. One of the things
any central themes or recurring questions that you can think of?
It's as far as substantive ethics guidance, it's really a smattering, but I know last time we discussed putting together frequently asked questions, and that's where we will be pulling from, sort of putting together the top issues. Gifts are always a recurrent issue, as are sort of secondary employment questions. And then kind of recusals and prestige of office are, I would say, the next kind of 3 and 4. But luckily now that we've been keeping track of all of these, including kind of our substantive responses, we have a good body to pull from for the FAQs. Another metric that I wanted to kind of bring up, I know we haven't done it. I'm not sure the board has done this in the recent past, but it seems like if we don't discuss details, we could at least talk about, the number of complaints open and closed. Same with advisory opinions, just to kind of, for the sake of public information about what the board has been up to. Again, we won't discuss any details of these, but it's kind of just the metrics. We put those in the year-end report anyway, so I think it's fine to kind of keep that updated monthly. So far in fiscal year 2022, pending complaint investigations, we have 0. Open, we have 4, and then those that have been closed, either for any number of reasons, we have 9 in fiscal 2022.
One correction, Jeff. I
Yeah.
made a mistake. So there are 9 complaints total, and then 5 of them have been closed.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So 4 are currently open and 5 have been closed. That makes sense. Thanks for that clarification. On the advisory opinion front, the board has issued 5 formal advisory opinions this fiscal year. So far, we've de-identified and published 2 of those on the website, so we still need to get around to 3 of those. And then we have 3 pending requests for advisory opinions, which the board, normally considers during its administrative session. And with that, Mara, I'll let you handle a couple of the next metrics if you'd like.
Sure. So it's financial disclosure filing season. All elected officials filed, so that's great. So they're finished. And then we started notifying the other required filers to file. So we sent out an email blast about like a week ago. And so far, a lot of people have been filing. Our emails have been racking up with emails and questions and notices that people are filing. So that's really good. We started very early this year, so I'm really happy where we are. I think it's going to be a lot steadier, this filing pace this year. And we have about 2,700 required filers this year. And we've included a lot more boards. So that's really good. Agencies identified more boards that act as enforcement personnel or as legislative liaisons. So that's really, really good this year. Our lobbying reports were due. There was a little bit of a technical glitch. So the day they were due, the site was down. So we gave them the rest of the week to file because a lot of them couldn't file by the deadline. There were 178 annual reports due and 177 lobbyists have filed.
Wow.
So we're missing 1. I have sent weekly reminders since January and called the lobbyists. So this one last lobbyist I have not heard anything from. So I'm going to keep trying and reminding the lobbyist to file. And we did have another lobbyist file 1 day late. So he filed on Tuesday and we said that to please file by Monday, and he had filed on Tuesday. So that was 1 day late for that lobbyist, and then 1 outstanding report, which I will keep trying to get in contact with that lobbyist. So that would be a question about assessing late fees, which I'm not sure if the board would need to discuss. But then moving forward to gift solicitation reports, it's been kind of a busy month. We received a new application, which you just voted to approve. A gift solicitation would like to expand the scope or their application information, which we will discuss. We received 2 final reports, and we received a supplemental final report for the Immigrant Community Fund, which we just received today. The board had requested a supplemental report back in July, and we did receive that today. So we will be reviewing that and providing that to you all so you can take a look. And then we received 2 interim reports. Most notably, we received an interim report from the Guaranteed Income Pilot, Baltimore Guaranteed Income Pilot, and a part of their report included mentioning that some funds would be kind of administered and managed by the cash campaign. So we had a meeting with them to kind of understand what was going on, and they'll be providing a lot more information about the cash campaign as a fiscal sponsor, and then we would have to submit that to the board just for you all to review. So that was the most notable interim report, which we're waiting for more information to share with you all. And then finally, at our forms, we received 8 ethics notices, which is relatively high for this month, and 1 conflicts affidavit. Those are the metrics.
Excellent. So I have a question. How did we end up last year on closing out the delinquent financial disclosures?
Financial disclosures. So there's financial disclosures or lobbying. Are you referring to the lobbyist or the disclosures?
The disclosures.
So that was, the outstanding. Jeff, do you want to discuss this one? This is when we sent the notice to the agencies.
Yeah, we had followed all of the procedures set out in the law, such as the notices, referral to the IG, and then referral to their agency head. And then the last part was, I forget how many there were now, but we said, we consider this individual non-compliant, and for the employee, we recommended that person be suspended until they file. And for the boards, we let the sort of the personnel for the board know that we consider them non-compliant. And Mara, I'm not sure if we know completely offhand. I think we got the filing from the outstanding employee. Was that right? And was that right?
So there's one employee that did not file, and he is required to file this year. So that means I'm not quite sure what actions the agency decided to take, but he didn't file. But regardless, the agency followed up and said that they would kind of like take care of it. And then for board members, the delinquent board members, I know that I believe there's 2 of them were removed from the board, and then additional board members did file. So it was just that one employee that the agency said that they would follow up with him.
All right, well, let's go ahead and follow up again. I mean, I don't want it to go another year with the same individual unless there's a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think the board went the extent that it could in recommending removal. Like, I'm not sure that there's any further action the board could take unless, unless it decided to open a complaint against that individual, which I guess it could do. We could discuss an administrative session and basically add on to the recommendation it has already made.
We're talking about an employee who didn't file, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't want to. I would just like closure on it. I mean, are they not requiring the individual? Have they taken any action? I don't want to just leave it as we said you had to file. We don't know what you did.
Yeah, let's go ahead and address that in administrative session.
Okay.
All right. Any other updates, Jeff or Mara?
None for
And by the way, I think only having one is excellent. Excellent work. So thank you very much.
All right. I don't see any old business. So we will move back into new business. We have a solicitation waiver request from Councilman Cohen's office on the Destiny's Dream Scholarship expansion request.
Yeah, and this one wasn't a new application request so much as they kind of wanted to get your long story short, the Destiny's Dream Scholarship gives scholarships to high school students at certain high schools that offer cosmetology programs. I believe the initial application only listed a couple of high schools, and the sponsors are wondering if it's possible, without going through a whole new solicitation waiver, to just expand the number of high schools that could receive the scholarships. So, I mean, we're clearly providing it to the board for your take. My initial take was that's certainly still within the scope. The money's still being used for what it was requested. It's simply being expanded to different high schools. So I'm not sure that would require a substantive new application, but certainly the board can advise on that.
Yeah, I'm just glad they did it timely and transparent. Go ahead, Melody.
No, I was just going to say, certainly if you know the story behind the scholarship, I mean, certainly, emotion shouldn't really play a role in the way that we view these, but I'm really happy that they were able to provide this scholarship to a greater number of individuals. It's certainly a meaningful opportunity. I don't have a problem with expanding the scope of schools just based on her letter.
Any other thoughts on this, comments?
No, it's good news that they raised more money than they
Right.
anticipated. The only thing I would ask is, should we request an accounting report?
Well, I mean, once they jump up in levels, there are greater reporting duties, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and Mara, they're up to date on their reports currently. Is that, I don't know if that's something you have on hand. I think
Yes, let
that's
me
what I recall.
take a look. Yes, they are all up to date on the reports, and I've been reviewing them, and they look great.
All right,
So-
any
All right,
other?
good.
So I do think it's probably proper to move to accept their amended solicitation request. I just feel parliamentary. I feel like that's the right thing to do. So I will move that we accept the amended solicitation waiver request based on the correspondence and requests from Councilman Cohen's office.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the amendment being accepted, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so the amendment is approved by the board.
And Jeff, do they have any requirement to tell the Board of Estimates of the change or not?
Well, I mean,
Or did
that was one of the thoughts. You know, if they were going to be expanding, I think the purpose for the funds, they would need to get a new endorsement. But if they're simply expanding the sort of category of recipients, I'm not sure they would need to. We could suggest that they simply notify the BOE.
That's an
Yeah,
excellent idea.
I think that would be prudent. Yeah, just FYI. Sure.
Okay, I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
All right, we will note that in our letter back to them. Thank you.
Now we have a rare fun item on our agenda. So Arnold, you are the brainchild behind the motto, right?
So to speak, or the brain man, or the brain sophomore, the brain fraternity, something. Well, let me say this: that then we assume, we're on the board, and we assume that the board's name kind of defines its role, and that for the public, it's self-evident what we stand for and why we exist. I think it's raison d'etre. But the truth is, if we're in a new posture now, we have a new profile now, where we have very, very, very effective staff, dedicated space, though we're not using it, and budget, and so the work we're doing now has more impact than perhaps before, more visibility perhaps than before. So I'm thinking having something out there so that the public easily can see what we stand for, why we're doing this, something simple that they can see and interpret and read or not read, would be beneficial. And I did propose wording that says safeguarding the public's faith in Baltimore city government, which I think is what we do. But if someone can say it better, or can say it differently, fine. It's just, I think having something that's not in Latin, and that is that the average citizen can see and won't have to wonder, what are they about? What are they? There's no guessing. It takes the guessing out of it. I think that that's in our best interest, because certainly. Then I'll stop. That I don't know what the Daily Record, very much about the Daily Record. I think I did see something that the editorial board wrote up that mentioned us maybe, but the Baltimore Brew is very vigilant and does mention us, or the office we were lodged in, with some degree of regularity. So I think having, again, a motto or a motto would be wise. So that's it. I propose that and welcome any revisions or counter proposals as the case may be.
What if we crowdsourced it?
Great, fine. Why not?
We might not like what we end up with some of the suggestions.
Okay, I mean, it's an idea.
The one thing I'll simply add here, and it has good precedent because it's in the ethics law. There is a goals and purposes section in the ethics law, and part of that is it says to guard against improper influence or even the appearance of improper influence, and to ensure public trust in government. So, I mean, if reiterating what the legal purpose is could be an interesting thought for a motto. And it's close to what you had proposed, Arnold.
Well, let me respond to that by saying, there's a saying, the man with the hammer sees everything as a nail. And so the legal, well-stated legal jargon you just recited, Jeff, certainly has appealed to you as a brilliant lawyer, certainly. But for the average citizen, I think something that's less formal, more concise, and more directed at we are trying to impact their well-being, their sense of well-being, makes sense. Again, if I didn't state it well, not a problem. It was a whim, but I thought it was a whim that was worthy of mention and presentation, so I have. But I think we should do something and I think we should do it now, because who knows where the board's name will travel to, and who will begin to become aware of the board in the future. Who knows? So saying something now is still called proactive, and I think it will benefit us.
I would just like to add, I love the idea of a motto. I love that idea, a motto or a mission statement, but I tend to agree with the points that both Steve and Jeff made with regard to, my only concern with just coming up with it on our own is that, we are directing the board in a way that has not been already either approved via the code or spelled out by a majority of folks, to Steve's point. So, I mean, look, I don't think at the end of the day, and there's a negative to any of this conversation, but I do think using the code as a guide for whatever we decide on is preferable in my view.
Yep, I agree. I like the ensuring public trust or whatever it was. Yep.
I'd love to brainstorm this some more. Honestly, I don't think we need to make a decision today, but I do. I feel positive about the concept, and I really don't think it's a big deal. So I'm generally in favor of it. If we want to try to come to some consensus and approve this at the next meeting, I'd be fine with that as well.
Well,
oh my God, I'm almost getting run off the road here by a tractor trailer. And we don't have to make this our official motto. I mean, it can be our theme for the year.
Yeah.
That we're gonna.
I agree with. I was agreeing with you, Don. I don't know if I cross-talked to you.
Yep. So we don't have to say this is our stamp motto, but we could say, okay, our theme for this year is ensuring public trust or ensuring the public's trust, and we'll draw from the words that are already in our mission and scope.
Yeah, I agree. Is this something we can hold sub curia until next month?
I'd like to ask Jeff. I'd like to. sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I second that idea, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, or ask Jeff and Mara to kind of play with their theme for the year and then present them at the next meeting or send them out before the next meeting. Yep.
I like that.
And another thing that we could do kind of like tied into this would be a hashtag. So that's what the OIG does. Theirs says hashtag fight fraud. And what's great is they put that on every tweet, and then Twitter kind of tracks all their tweets. And then, you know, random members of the public can write hashtag fight fraud when they are referencing the OIG. So it's been like a great way to kind of receive some public support. So if we're looking for a way to include the public, I think we could incorporate it into like a hashtag.
Like from the Geico commercial. Am I hashtagging?
Exactly.
All right.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's definitely keep ruminating on this and keep fermenting it. And I think it's a great idea. So
We'll provide some just some options for the board to think about, and you can discuss them next meeting. How's that?
Okay.
you got it.
Okay, great.
All right, so I think that's the end of our public session for today. So if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and adjourn our public meeting of February 9th, 2022. Thank you.
Yeah.